Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Dawn and I am here with part 2, which will probably just be the final part of this journal. I've got all the pages cut and bound and put into signatures. I got my big clips on these signatures. I have picked out an embroidery floss and cut it already, so we're putting that to the side. I have this little tool here. It's for bookbinding. As I've mentioned a lot of times in my past videos, I have carpal tunnel and it's pretty easy to get flare-ups doing things like cutting a lot of paper or trying to bind paper. So this actually really helps me. And I'm gonna do the 5-hole pamphlet stitch. So I didn't do any math on this yet. I'm gonna start at, like, mine is just numbered. I don't know what these numbers are. They're not inches, that's for sure. But they're just the numbers on here. I think I'm gonna start at 5 and it goes to 40, so 35. And then if I do 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, that's not gonna work. I should have done the math first. So I have 5 and then 35. And in the middle of that should be is 20 in the middle. Am I crazy? I have no idea. 20. So I did 35, 5, and 20, and then I want to do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch for these because they're big signatures. So halfway between 5 and 20 is probably 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 or 13. So we're just going to go with 12. And then we have 20. And then I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 20. Yeah, well, I didn't need to do that. 27. And then I have to write all that down. So I did 5 and 12 and 20 and 27 and 35. And that's probably all. Actually, it looks really even. I was gonna say it's probably gonna look horrible, but it looks really even. So we did it. Congrats. Doing math on camera is my 3rd video filming today. I'll stagger the release, but it is my 3rd video today, and I have had a long couple of weeks, a long couple of months, let's be real, and I am utterly exhausted, so that is where we're at. Okay, so now that I've done that, that's just kind of what I use. You don't have to go out and get fancy tools. I found some tools really help me with my carpal tunnel, because having the starter hole for this does make a huge difference for me. But it doesn't go all the way through. So I do kind of have to reinforce those holes, puncture those holes. I don't know, whatever the word is. I got that. And it's not easy to get through 20 pieces of paper. Each signature has 20 pieces, so it's gonna be an 80-page journal. All right, we got that one. And this one. So technically the front and back of the signature doesn't matter, but because the holes aren't perfectly evenly spaced, I will need to make sure that they're both oriented the right way. So I will be doing that. So this is really tough and hard to talk while I'm doing it. This is just going to be a simple white page journal. It was commissioned that way. I'm just doing what I was asked, and because it was so simple, I felt happy to take on the commission. They saw the book cover in my Etsy listings. I had it listed as, so I have the pages listed in page packs, and they saw the cover and asked if I had the cover still and if I could turn it into a journal. And while I had planned to turn it into a journal, I hadn't actually gotten there, so I was happy to make it a custom one. So then what I usually do for the spine holes is line this here, and then I can see all the holes, and then I'll just go and puncture my 2 holes, and as long as I can see them, they don't have to go all the way through at the first. I'm not trying to poke holes in my table here. I am mostly just marking it with my poker. This is how I usually do old book covers, so I'm just gonna keep doing it this way because this is what works for me. If something different works for you, I encourage you to do that. Okay, got my holes, 2 signatures, 5 holes each, and then I'll just do this. And I give it a little bit of a twist when I do it. Just works for me. This is by no means a tutorial, more of a craft along. Not that you can really see well what I'm doing at all, because it's really hard to show these big books on camera, honestly. Very difficult. I don't have like a huge space for showing these books, and then, or for filming. I don't have the ability to really put it up too high. So when I do big books, it's just kind of crowded. But it's fine. I don't mind so much. As long as you guys don't mind like seeing a lot of that. So I got my holes now, I got my pages now, I got my big needle, I got my embroidery thread, and we'll just bind it, and then we'll take a look at it, hope it looks good, and then hopefully I can get this out to its new home soon. Starting in the center, going through the center hole, and then when I do this, I like to hold it with my thumb, make sure I'm not crisscrossing. Go back through that hole, and then I will try to pull it pretty tight, especially when I get to this one, looping back through, then I'll pull the whole thing tight. With the 5-hole pamphlet stitch, sometimes I have to go back and make sure everything's really in there tight before I tie the knots, because stuff will slide around and you don't really want that. You go back through here, it should be lined up and a lot easier to find the hole the second time. Then you skip the middle, go here, out, stab yourself at least twice. Every journal is a requirement to make good art, I think, to make sure you're stabbing yourself an adequate number of times. I'm mostly joking, but honestly, I'm very good at stabbing myself. This should go right through. Here we go. Yep. And then what I'll usually do is flip it, and I'll pull this tail, I'll hold it down this way, and then I'll try to go above it so that I don't split that, and make sure that they're on different sides, and hopefully, and I like to kind of pull it through just to make sure it's in there super tight, and then we'll check it. It's very tight indeed. Pull these, and then I will be trimming these, so I'm not worried about how uneven they are. And I'm gonna triple that knot. You don't have to triple your knot, but I'm going to on this journal because it's a big journal with a big signature and I want it nice and tight in there. So pull that nice and tight, and then I will be snipping this because it is a plain journal, and so I don't think they didn't say anything about wanting to like have dangles or anything. So that's the first signature in, and then what I'll do typically with any journal I'm making is I'll take one of those paper clips that I have off and I'll hold the whole thing down. And this is where it gets tricky because now your book is really heavy and you still have to maneuver this signature in. So make sure that the front is at the front. So when I do my signatures, I'll put 2 big clips at the front, and then if I feel like I need to, I'll put another one at the back, but I'll do it at the top. So I always have 2 clips on the front, and then I'll have none, or if I do have a clip on the back, it's always at the top. That's my method. If that doesn't make sense, that's fine, because it's just what I do. And we all kind of develop our own method. And again, for this, while it doesn't technically matter, the holes aren't perfectly even. Therefore, you do really want to pay attention to your top and bottom at least after you've punctured your holes if you're doing plain paper. Make sure nothing gets uneven or misaligned. Because if I did get that misaligned, it would be sticking out of the book. We don't want that. Alright, so I do want to try to get here. I don't know if I'm even in camera, but I am trying to get here without puncturing through the string. So I'm going to pull that to make sure it's not through. Make that part nice and tight, and then we're going back over here to this back hole. I know you probably can't see, but this is not a tutorial. I don't have a tutorial, but plenty of other creators have really solid tutorials on how to do the 3-hole or the 5-hole pamphlet stitch. And then once you learn how to do the 3 and extend it to the 5, then you can do it any number. So you can make as big of a book as you wanted. And that is weirdly caught on that. Okay. This, and then again, flipping it, and I'm pulling this one and holding it down in the opposite direction of like the side I'm trying to come through, so that I can get it, but I can't get it. So let me see if I can see what is happening. There we go. I can see through there, and I can still not see that. And my tail keeps coming loose, and I don't want that to happen. Coming up here, and it's not going through. I'm not sure why. Got it. Slip that under there. Not sure what was happening there, but it's through. It's in. We're in. We're tight. All right. don't love binding on camera, but there's not much else to show with this journal, so that's where we're at. Do that, snip that, but not so short that it comes undone. All right, and then I'll pull out these and show you what we have. Grab, I have a magnet that I actually put this on, because otherwise that will disappear. Things like to walk away on me. So here's this. It's a kind of just like a composition book or just a normal journal, but made with a fancy cover. So we have a regular bone folder that I have found. So we have the encyclopedia cover. We have our spine here now, if it focuses. There's the spine. Here's the inside of the cover. I'm just gonna flip a couple of pages. It's all white paper, nothing fancy. That's what they wanted. So what I do when I kind of first do my books is I go to the back half of the signature and do the bone folder along the edge like this to make it flat. And I'm doing 2 or 3 pages here because they're thin and there's not much like going on, but I do want to crease down that middle part and get it nice and folded, nice and trained the way we want it to open, and that helps it be flatter. So you can see that's like that, and then I'm pressing it open and running my bone folder on it, and now it doesn't do that anymore. Go to the center here, really get that edge, and then I'll do this one like that, and then I'll go to the middle. I think I am left-handed for the record, so I do things my own way. And then I'll do this side of the seam, and then what I'll do is I'll flip it over and do the other. So I'll show you, we'll get there. But this is pretty much, I do have to add my signature to it. But other than that, it's pretty much ready to go. It was a fun journal to work on. It's nice to kind of get back into the craft room with something simpler. So that was good timing from the person who asked for this journal. That was definitely something that I was open for doing at this point in my life. I'm not sure that will always be true. I'm not sure I'll always be able to take commissions. I often don't like taking commissions. It feels like once somebody else is making the creative decisions that it's not as easy or enjoyable for me to do. So I often don't take commissions, but it's nice to kind of shake off the cobwebs a little bit of both just making this, like making a journal, and with this journals. Like, it's been a while since I made a video, so I have cobwebs to shake off with the video making part of the process and with the journal making part of the process. All right, so that's that, and then we go to the center here and we'll do this side, and then that will be done and ready to go. And you'll see it lays a lot flatter now that we've done this. It won't warp up as much, and it will be easier to write in. Just kind of training the pages to fold flat out from the center more, instead of being like this versus this. It's a big difference. It might be hard to see on camera, but I'll show you like from this side. So with these pages, if I fold them over, they pop right back up. And then if I do this and give them a crease, they don't pop up anymore. So that's why we do that, if you're ever wondering. That is why we do that. So that you have a book that just is flat. So here's that. Here's just our pages. Lovely white pages. Beautiful new journal, sketchbook. I'm not sure what their intention with it is, but it's done. Thank you all for watching and joining me in this little journey to sort of shake off some of my cobwebs and get back into making videos. I hope you'll be seeing a lot more of me, and I hope that this summer is nice and calm and that I can get work done this summer, because we are a crazy house with a lot of crazy kids, and it's a lot to juggle, but I'm doing my best. I'm glad you're all here to join me and watch me on this journey, and I thank you all for being here. If you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. Please like, comment, share my videos if you think you know someone that would be interested in listening to me ramble on. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everyone.